mentioned all week how you guys needed to go out and show that you were able to rebound from last week and not just talk about it. What do you make of the way that you guys came out?
Well, we did some really good things. A little disappointed at the end, some of the things we did defensively, and again, it'll start with me. We'll take an opportunity to take a look at the things that we did, things that we should have done better. But the guys played hard. They did a lot of good things. They made plays when they had to. Was probably the most important thing, and it was a big tribute to their resilience. So I was very pleased with that.
Ron, going for a couple fourth downs and the fake punt, was that sort of personifying what you talked about, is making sure there was a sense of urgency?
Yes, very much so, Joe. And I just wanted to make sure the guys know that, hey, I believe in who we are as a football team, and I believe we can make plays. We just, when we get the opportunity, we got to go out and do it. Chase and them have been on me about that fake, and we've had it. I've always kind of felt I'm looking for this type of an opportunity that just felt we would give us some momentum. And we had a 10-point lead, so I figured if we messed it up, it wouldn't be that bad. But I was really looking for something to give us an edge, and I thought the moment was good. It's funny, I talked with Norva about it all week, a couple days, and we talked about it twice, and talked about wanting to do it early in the game, earlier in the half, and so it just came that this was, I thought, a really good opportunity for us.
Colin on that play obviously keeps his legs churning and burning.
Yes.
Has he ever played running back like that?
Back in high school, back in the day, and he reminds me of it every day. He says, I got that ability, Coach. So, he said, well, you're going to get a chance eventually. And today, like I said, I just thought the opportunity was right.
Hey, Ron, from his own play, from Kyle Allen's play to some of the adjustments you guys made from quarter one to quarter two, play action, et cetera, what kinds of things helped him settle in a little bit?
Well, I think more so than anything else it was just really that, him settling in, because he had some guys open. He missed some opportunities. The very first play, we'd have much rather seen him throw the ball, out as opposed to right through the middle. I know he wanted to get Greg. Greg had a real good week of practice, and we tried to feature him a little bit. And and again, I just thought that he I think was a little anxious early on, and then as he settled in, got into the second quarter, you could really see him start to make good decisions.
Ron, 5 and 3.
The 4th and 2 call, that's, you're only up 3-0 at that point. So really talk about that decision and that play call.
Just some of the things that we've done in practice, just you feel good about some of the plays, and you just think that this was a really good play for it, and the situation. We got the coverage we were anticipating, and the execution was there.
Ron, midway point now, 5 and 3. If you lose a guy like Cam Newton after 2 games, a lot of people wouldn't think, 5 and 3. So why? How did you get to this point?
Well, I think it's about the team more so than anything else. Cam's been an integral part of who we are. We've got a lot of good football players, and now we have a young man that's come in and did some things for us last year, and he's shown us that he can do it again this year. But I really do think it's about the team more than it's about just any individual. I think our guys have done a great job in doing their jobs. One of the things that we've done consciously, a couple of years ago, is we wanted to put playmakers around the quarterback. Went out and drafted Christian. And then we've added on Curtis and then DJ, and again, Greg Olson's having a solid career, he's having a solid year, so when you have those kind of playmakers around, the quarterback, really there's a point where you really want to make sure that he can distribute it. There are some things that that Kyle does and some things that Cam does, but individually as a team, I think we're doing some really good things. Defensively, I think the thing that we see out here has been our team speed. The team speed on defense has gotten better. We've made plays on the ball. We've pressured the quarterback. We haven't stopped the run as well as I would like to, but it's something we got to get back to because it's been something we've done very well, and you're not going to go very far if you don't do that better. So we have some work still to do. And then I think our kicker and punter and our return teams are starting to round out. So again, just to that point, it's about what the team has done more so than missing just individuals.
Ron, to your point about stopping the run a little bit better, were you surprised they didn't run Derrick Henry more in the first half? He got 2 carries.
Well, I will say this: there were some things that we were doing really well. And I think they saw it. And they came in, they made a great halftime adjustment. They came out in that first series and then ran the ball very effectively, and they made a great adjustment. And then when we got back to the sideline, listening to what the coaches were telling me, you listen to what Perry saw from upstairs, and then Steve looking at it in the pictures and talking to Eric, we saw what they were doing, so we tried to eliminate some of that, and we were able to have some success. But then they hit us on a couple of big throws, and then a screen. So again, it was a little bit of give and take here and there, but again, he's a terrific back, and he had a solid afternoon. And sometimes you can stop him early, and sometimes you can stop him late. I don't know if you can stop him all day.
I know you were involved in the game, but I wonder if you had happened to hear the MVP chants after Christian's last touchdown, and your thoughts on and his season in general.
Well, I'll tell you what, he is most certainly, I think, in the conversation, but it's still early. We've got this only halfway, and you don't get awards for half the season. So, we'll see what happens. It's like I said, we're playing really good team football. Last week was a tough one, but this week I thought our guys bounced back well.
Do you have any more clarity on Cam's situation after his visit, and are you guys preparing to maybe be without him the rest of the way?
Well, I'm not sure, Joe, as far as anything else other than the fact that he went up, he saw Dr. Anderson. Dr. Anderson talked about what our doctor's been doing is exactly what he needs to do. It's one of those things that's it's a gradual process, and he's still in the process is where he is. And so at the end of the day, until we're told anything different from the doctors, we'll continue just like what we've been doing.
With Kyle Allen, especially like even the first series, even though he started out 1 for 3, all his passes seemed pretty much all downfield today, like long passes, very few screens at all today, if any. Was that the game plan to be aggressive, throw downfield more?
Well, it was part of the game plan, and again, a lot of these things are what he reads and what he sees, and we've always done that. Coach Norv has always done that with the quarterbacks in terms of their decision makers. They have options, they have a progression they have to go through. They do things based on certain looks that the defense is giving, and then they make decisions.
Hey, Ron, did you see your young receivers, specifically Curtis and DJ, playing with a little fire today?
No, I thought, these are young guys that are developing and growing, and they're going to have good days, they're going to have tough days, they're going to have great days. And today was a pretty solid day. To look at some of the plays they made, the way they went after the football. Again, it's all about the process. Probably the biggest thing, again, these are young guys that are learning to be consistent football players week in and week out. It's, it's tough. It's a tough business. And again, guys that are in their second and third year, they're going to continue to learn and grow.
Guys in the NFL, they don't need extra motivation, but when you did you see from your defensive ends, outside linebackers, defensive line, playing a little bit, seemed like with Mario Addison's jersey on the bench, maybe playing a little bit for Mario?
Yes, they did. And it was kind of a nice thing just listening to the guys pregame and then postgame. It's a very difficult time that, one of our guys is going through. And a lot of these guys, they want to be there for him, and we'll see him hopefully this week. It's been a very difficult time, and Shaq went through it, with his own situation. So, we have a group of guys that want to be here for each other, and they want to rally around one another. And Mario is a guy that's been with us for a long time.
Ron, as far as Christian is concerned, he was evaluated, went through the process. What's
Right.
sort of his status right now?
He's fine. It was an abundance of caution. We had a pretty secure lead. Got a little hairy at the end, but we felt pretty strongly about just being smart. There was no reason to put him out there, in my estimation. And maybe it was just a little over, but I'd rather be careful than be dumb.
Did it happen when he was sort of sliding back?
I assume so. I was just told what happened. I mean, I saw the play, I saw the touchdown run, and I'll be honest with you, when I saw the replay, I saw him turn his ankle. That's what I thought it was. And then they came up to me later and told me, and they said, he wants to go back in. I said, well, we'll rethink that, and we need to relax a little bit. So, but that was an abundance of caution on my side.
Bradbury with the groin, any update there?
We'll see. Again, he, they were trying to get him warmed up to get him back in the game, and again, where we were with that, I told him, let's just relax, and I think we'll be fine.
What do you think for? I mean, you guys last week had the tough loss. There's a bunch of overtones, or at least questions from us about last year in Pittsburgh. How nice to just immediately sort of come back and answer.
Well, I think that's great. I mean, I really do, Joe. And that really was one of the first questions. But, to Greg Olson's point, guys, we can talk about it all I want, but we have to go out and do it. And I thought our guys went out and handled it pretty good, and I was very happy for them today. I really was. And, again, in light of the fact that, this was our first home game in 5 weeks. I mean, it was great to have the fans, and it was great to hear Sweet Caroline at the end of the day.
You mentioned seeing Kyle early. Would you?
Jack seemed like he played really fast today.
He did. He did. And it's one of those things, him coming off of his situation with his mother, that was very difficult. And we probably put a lot on this play. I probably put too much on. I mean, and again, but today we really simplified a lot of things that we did. he made a couple real good decisions, a couple big-time plays for us, and really just it was good to have him back and, in his focus. And it's, again, these are young men that are dealing with some very difficult situations.
Ron, you went through a similar situation a couple seasons ago and had to resume very quickly. Were you able to give them any advice on handling a situation like this with the death of a family?
The biggest thing, and I haven't had a chance to talk with Mario, but I had a couple opportunities to talk with Shaq, and Shaq is just a solid young man, and it's good to have him back.
Ron, what adjustments did you make this week with regard to offensive line performance? Because it seemed to be much better today than last week.
Well, I think probably the biggest thing that happened more so than anything is Dennis had an opportunity to have a whole week's worth of practice. He wasn't battling the groin that he had to battle a little bit. So, again, I think that's part of it. You got a guy that came in, worked every day with the rest of the group. I think they got a little bit of the cohesion going. And then I just thought he played very well today as a rookie.
Hey, Ron, Trey Boston does so much to uplift everybody else around him, it seems, but really wanted to get that pick. What was his demeanor like in the locker room?
He's fired up. He really is. And, it's good to see that. I mean, here's a young man that's really done a lot of good things for us and has been a big part of, I think, our resurgence, especially in the secondary. He has stepped up, become somewhat of a locker room leader. He really is. And he's one of those guys that you can gauge the attitude of the team just by watching him. And he really has done a nice job in terms of bringing the energy and keeping things lighthearted.
Has he referenced Thieves Ave at all in terms of picks and
Oh
turnovers?
yes, most certainly. That they've brought that back, and it's kind of he's kind of one of the guys that started, one of the original members of Thieves Ave. So it's good to see him back and doing those things.
Ron, depending on what you hear, I know it's up in the air a little bit, but is placing Cam on injured reserve a realistic option?
Again, I'd be assuming, based on what I said about what Dr. Anderson talked about, in terms of our guys are doing their job and doing things that they need for him. Again, the biggest thing that we'll see is how he's progressing. I mean, he's doing everything we've asked. He's been great, but we'll see.
I was curious what you saw in Kyle early in the game, and then after that 90-yard drive, it seemed like there was a difference in him. What did you see out there?
Well, I just thought the biggest thing was he settled down. I mean, a lot of the guys talked about the energy, being back in the building. I mean, for the first time in 5 weeks. I mean, they really did, and it was kind of neat, because when I first got here today, just listening to guys talk about, man, it's good to be home. It was really great to hear. I mean, I didn't realize it, but 5 weeks on the road was an awful lot to ask of our guys, and unfortunately it culminated in a disaster as far as I'm concerned. But getting the opportunity to come back home and having them step up and play the way they did, I was very pleased with their effort and their attitude.
Ron, did the meeting with Dr. Anderson take surgery off the table?
Guys, I can't go any further into that other than what I just told you. That I pretty much have heard and read the same thing you guys have. To get into any deeper than that would be all guessing and would not be fair to anybody. So at the end of the day, guys, Kyle's our starter, and we're going to continue to go forward with that, okay? So with that, thank you, guys.